So let's get into it because I have 10 books and I added one. And then I have a +2 for kids. So it says 10, but I actually got 13. But it's okay because you're going to love them. So let's get into it. Hello, beautiful people. If you're new here, I am Darnaya Darice. First name, middle name. Here I do lifestyle motivation and bookish content. Forgotten books that I want people to remember, and maybe you should go check them out. And that first one is what I showed in the intro. This was such a great book. This is Frederick Douglass in his own words. Okay, so not only read what people have to say about him or other perspectives, but read our leaders, our activists, just anyone, read their own words as well. I got this from Second and Charles when I got the prints as well. But you can get, this was like an edition they had. So that's one. Also, one you may not have thought of. I don't know if you all know Iyanla Vanzant, but she had a book called Interiors. It was a Black woman's healing in progress. This was such a great read. Now it's a thick one, okay? This is well over 400 pages, but it is sort of like one of her autobiographies. It's a memoirs. It's a portion in her life, and she goes into such blunt detail. This was such a great read. I love the purple color. If you haven't noticed from my pictures and some of my thumbnails, purple is my favorite color, specifically the lavender shade. But this was such a great empowering read. I encourage you to read this one if you haven't already. Then Chinua Achebe, Things Fall Apart. This follows a character named Okonkwo and his life and stories, and it's very much a good book. It is fairly a quick read. It's just barely over 200 pages. So, and it's still on some reading lists. I've seen it on high school reading lists. So, from homeschool co-ops that are for Black homeschoolers. So if you haven't read this, go check it out because that is another classic that you can check out. Next, we have Up From Slavery by Booker T. Washington. This is a quick, short read. So if you're looking, if you have a lot of intensive reads for February, try to incorporate this one. This one is only, it's a little over 150 pages, and it's a great read. You get the perspective of Booker. Unfortunately, sometimes Booker get cast under a certain light that isn't true. Please read his words. He does his common phrase, or his well-known phrase is "cash your buckets where you are," and he was trying to encourage Black people to build where they are, use what you have, come together and use our resources so we can build our own schools and things of that nature. Tuskegee University, which I am in Alabama right now. I'm not from Alabama, but that's where I am right now. And we're not that far from Tuskegee. He had the students working. He said, "You want a lunch hall? You got to build your lunch hall." Okay. He also talks about some religion and how pastors were behaving at his time and what he thought we should be focusing on. So it's a very good read. I encourage you to read that. Also, Zora Neale Hurston, you know this. Don't forget about this book, Their Eyes Were Watching God, which is a great one. You see her picture there. This is just a great classic read to catch up on or reread. I read this before, but I may go ahead and reread it again at some point this year. Now, we all know Maya Angelou, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, but Maya also has a book, and it's Wouldn't Take Nothing for My Journey Now. Again, this is another quick read. It is not long. It's easy to read. It's about a little over 130 pages. It is very good. You know, Maya, she don't hold anything back. She's very upfront with you, and especially if if you're a woman, ladies, this is a good read for you, and encourage you to stand on your own choices. You know, you may have made some mistakes. You probably have had some decisions which you would like to change, but she's like, stand on it. We all make mistakes. We learn from them. We grow from them. Don't let anyone hold you down, hold you back because of past issues or mistakes or anything like that. Now, I don't know if you remember Sister Soldier. This girl, she is hilarious. But she had a memoir or autobiography, if you will, called No Disrespect. And she goes all in. She's very blunt. I believe she's from New York. This girl don't play. And she talks about experiences she went throughout her life, and also being an activist and standing up, and her thoughts on the Black condition at the time. So go check that out. Also, the autobiography of an ex-slave man. This is James Weldon Johnson. This is a very short read. So a lot of these are short reads, okay? A lot of these are short reads. This is barely 100 pages. This is a quick read, and you can learn about him. And it says, one of the most prominent African Americans of his time, James Weldon Johnson, was a successful lawyer, educator, social reformer, songwriter, and critic. But it was as a poet and novelist that he achieved lasting fame. So it's a very quick read. You can learn a little bit more about James Weldon Johnson. Okay, we are getting through these pretty quickly because I don't want to waste your time. It's Friday that I'm taping this, January 31st. It is the last day of January. Whenever you're watching this, I hope you're having a great month, a great year. I hope you're staying encouraged. It's a lot going on, but listen, do what you can that's in your control to uplift your life and to elevate. Shameless plug. It's Durante Lamar, Christ held up. Look at that picture. Ain't he gorgeous? Ain't he gorgeous? But this is, if you're looking for a quick short read and you're into spirituality or religion and have questions, or want to know if anyone has been discerning or really studying to get in the deeper root of how things came to be, or how people behave and act, or examining the historical context, like getting deep into research and the complexities of specifically Christianity, this mostly deals with, then pick this up. It is on Amazon. It's a great quick read, and it's more so to get you thinking. And so I did like it. He poses a lot of questions that have been in the mind, okay, in some of our minds, and kind of have you. It's a book that is just meant to leave you thinking and lead you onto your own research and really studying that if you want to study more into that. So I encourage that. So that's an extra bonus. Okay. All right. The next one is Ida B. Wells. Okay. And this is the Memphis Diary of Ida B. Wells, an intimate portrait of the activist as a young woman. And it was edited by Miriam DaCosta Willis. Okay, here's another image. This is such a great read. You actually read Ida's words here. It's her own little diary entries and things of what's been going on in her life in Memphis. And she was a teacher. This lady, she stood on business. She did not play, but she went through a lot of issues and things during her activism. Of course, poverty, dealing with discrimination, and how to maneuver with educating young Black people during her time. So this, if you haven't heard of this, go check it out. Learn more about Ida. She's another great. Okay, I'm trying to put these books somewhere where they won't fall. Another one, Nikki Giovanni. Don't forget about Nikki. This is Ego Trippin', and this is actually a poetry collection. Okay, so again, it's a short read. It's not even past 60 pages. And you get a list of poems, and that's kind of how it looks like in this one. But it's so refreshing, so good. If you love all your other classic writers, you know, go check out Ego Tripping and other poems for young people. I'm just trying to see, like, she has a poem called Ego Tripping, Revolutionary Music, No Reservations, Intellectualism, Black Power, poem for Flora, sorry. Beautiful Black Men, poem for Black boys. So she just have a great collection of poems in this book. So I would suggest to check that one out too if you're looking for something else to read during February. And listen, you don't have to only read these in February. Check these out anyway throughout the year when you have time. Another one, if you're looking to get into deep on history, this is John Henrik Clarke, another historian that we were blessed with. He was just so straightforward. He did not play. But this book by him is Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust, Slavery and the Rise of European Capitalism. And this book is, again, really short. It's barely over 100 pages. So these are short reads that you can really dive into to learn a little bit more. But he highlights what Black peoples across the world and Africans during slave trade, what we actually went through and how vicious that played a part into us. And so he examines the colossal of dehumanizing of a people with a minute detail, step by step, and he chronicles reveals that the African Holocaust was the greatest single crime in the world committed against people. And of course there have been many atrocities and genocide from different cultures, different areas, different people, and we just have to learn how to be better humans to each other, in the sense of not dehumanizing other people because they have different cultures, different races, different thoughts, different ideals, different ideas. Please don't dehumanize other people, okay? There are many different variables that play into who people are, many different experiences, and so we have to keep that in mind. But that is a great read as well if you're looking into studying more history. Okay, so I told you I was giving you more than 10. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, now the 2 bonus books for children, for kids and adults, you can actually read these, but I used to read these for when I homeschooled, and that is The Pot of Wisdom. These are Nazi stories. This is Arua Bado and Baba Wagwe Diakite. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. But these give Nazi stories, you know, instead of just going over the stories that we're used to, like Cinderella or Beauty and the Beast, just the other things. You can tell the stories that come from Black art, Black people as well. And it's beautiful. You get images in this book here. And it tells the stories of a Nazi is a spider, basically. And you see a Nazi spelled different ways. Here it's N-S-E, and then sometimes you may see N-S-I. But these are such great stories. A Nazi the spider is kind of like telling parables, and he's basically very wise, and sometimes he's posed as a trickster, but it's kind of teaching you and giving you some wisdom in each every story. So that's a good one. And last but not least, thank you if you stayed this long. Ma'am, sir, thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video. Also in the comments, let me know any other books that you haven't seen mentioned a lot in the booktuber world, or just in general that are people talk about, or that you may be reading for next month or anytime this year. Let me know, because I love learning about new books. I love to read. I love to learn. You know, we keep rising, like I said, over here. And don't forget to subscribe, okay? But the last but not least is Schomburg. OMG. This version is by Carol Boston Weatherford. This is a big book, and it is The Man Who Built a Library. And it kind of walks you through a little biography of Arturo. He was a bibliophile, and she highlights that in the prologue here. Look at these images. Look at that. Like, it's this book is gorgeous. But Arturo, he was something else. Now, as a husband, if you dating him, now that's something different. But he was something else. Even as a kid, so it's like when he was in 5th grade or something, he told his teacher like, "We want to learn about Black history. That's not Black history. This is Black history." And so he, instead of waiting for somebody to teach them, he went and built his own library. He started collecting books and collecting collections, and I believe that his library showcase is still in New York, but I kind of want to go there to see his collection as well. But this is such a great read. Please read this to your children, your teens, yourself. Read about Arturo Schomburg. If you want a thicker book about him, you can also look that up for other things. But these pictures are gorgeous.
Here's the last stanza of Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. One of my favorites, I might add. Now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say, it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need of my care, 'cause I'm a woman, phenomenally, phenomenal woman. Yes, that's me.
Hello, beautiful people. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to be reciting poems that I love, mainly 5 from poets I absolutely love, and that's one of my faves, all-time faves, obviously, is the great Maya Angelou. Come on, okay. And Langston Hughes. When I was a little girl, my mother bought me a collection of Langston Hughes poems, and that was like my first big poetry book, and so I greatly appreciate her for building that love in me for reading and for poetry as well in general. And also Nikki Giovanni. I mentioned this book in a previous video, Ego Tripping. She has a poem in here called Communication, and you're just gonna hear me recite these poems and how I embody them. You heard in the intro that was Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. You know it. We heard it in the recitals in what they call it at school. What they used to call when the people perform talent shows. That's what I was thinking about. The talent shows back in the day when I was at school, everybody was doing Phenomenal Woman. Okay, but I love that poem. I read the last stanza in that one because this video will be long if I read the 2 long poems. Okay, that poem is long, but I also love Still I Rise by her, which you'll hear at the end. I'll recite the last stanza in that. Langston Hughes, you're gonna hear me recite 2 poems of his. One is A Dream Deferred, as we know it, but its original title was Harlem. And I love that poem. It's short, but it's sweet and so profound. And also another poem that I do love, but it has a little bit of like, should we know, is I Too. And I first heard that poem in a movie that Denzel played called Great Debaters, and always in that movie I just always remember him reciting this poem by Langston Hughes, and he says, I too am America. So you're gonna hear me recite that whole poem, and you'll hear me recite Nikki Giovanni's Communication poem. It's short and sweet, but I love the embodiment of like, hey, I'm here. Okay. But I also love Alone by Maya Angelou. She has some great poems. There's so many other poets that I love. Gwendolyn Brooks is another one. So go back if you're interested, especially during Black History Month, but anytime all year long, go back and study some of the greats and the poets, new poets that are coming along today. And if you have any poetry book recommendations, drop them in the comments for everyone to see so we can continue adding to our books wish list, because my wish list for my books are getting way too long. And I actually have a poetry book It's called Words of a Shattered Mind. I originally posted in 2013, but did re-edits for that, so you can check that out on Amazon as well. But without further ado, let's get into the rest of the poems.
Harlem by Langston Hughes, also known as A Dream Deferred. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat? Or crust and sugar over like syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode? I Too by Langston Hughes. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and go strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. Thank you. Communication by Nikki Giovanni. If music is the universal language, think of me as one whole note. If science has the most perfect language, imagine me as MC squared. Since mathematics can speak to the infinite picture, me as 1 to the first power. What I mean is one day I'm gonna grab your love and you'll be satisfied. Here's the last stanza of Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. And I shall close this video as we shall continue to rise. Thank you so much for listening and watching to this video.
And there are so many great authors whose works I want to get, but there are 3 in particular. I want to get their entire back catalog. Do you hear me? I want to get Bernice L. McFadden. I read Sugar last month and it was awesome. I also want to get Maya Angelou's, all of her autobiographies. I have 2 and read them so far. And none other than Richard Wright. I have Native Son on my TBR for this month. Want to get the rest of his work. Okay, let me know, how are you building your home library? I'm Darnaya Darice. Always remember to keep rising. Book Talk was a great place to find some new authors, some debut authors who are putting out debut novels, if you will. And they're easy to find. Like, I've been running into so many, but I'm just going to highlight and spot three of them. And if you're on TikTok, you can follow them. I'll put their books and their @ or their handles on the screen for you. And so one of them you may have already heard about, but 2 of them, their novels either have just been released or will be released this month. So let's get into it. And I'm also going to highlight my current read, my first read for September, and how it's going and my thoughts on it. One author on Book Talk, her name is Jerry Cohen Biddy, and that's Jerry with a G, E-R-R-I. I'm gonna put it on the screen somewhere, okay? And I ran into her. She just popped on my feed, and I'm like, okay, she has a novel going out, and she's very she seems so down to earth. She talks to you straight up, and she's talking about her book. And I was like, okay, let me follow, because I love to support new authors, love to support new books, know how it is. And I saw her book is called Muse, and I'll put the image up. And the cover is gorgeous. Hold on, somebody knocking, hold on. All right, we're back. The little kid neighbor stopped by. He's so sweet, but I'm like, listen, you disturb me. You disturbing my flow, man. What you need? No, but he's super sweet. But yeah, Jerry has a book out called Muse, and the full title is Muse, Brown Skin, A Dangerous Kind of Love. And at first I thought it was a fiction romance, and I'm like, oh, okay, the cover looks nice, and it's releasing on September 10th, so you can put it on your fall TBR. But then I looked up the book and read the synopsis, and it's actually a memoir. So let me read you a little bit of the overview. So it's 258 pages, so not a long read. Obviously, the cover is exquisite, but it's her debut memoir, if you will. And it's an emotionally charged memoir and poetically written that explores the raw, complicated, and sensual experience of being someone's inspiration, but never their priority. She recounts her entanglement with a man whose love for music always came before his love for her. Now this sounds like a romance I read before. Okay, this sounds like, tell me some romance books, fiction that you read before. Isn't it funny? This is, well, it's not funny, but this is a true life story, okay? Because it's her memoir. So I think this may be a good one to check out. I will eventually get it. I don't know if I will get it right when it comes out because I have so many. You see all these books I have to get to up here. This is my current TBR for September. But I do want to support her because it sounds really good and we want to, get her numbers up. So if you're looking for a new memoir, putting someone on your fall TBR, you hadn't seen her before, go follow Jerry, support her. All right, next one is Ashley Logan. Don't know if you've seen this author. She's also on Book Talk. Ran into her, and I kept seeing her a few times before I followed. She has, look at this cover. She has a book coming out, and it was just released like recently, and it's called Redeemed. It's part of a book series called, I believe it's called the Redeemed series, and it's a mafia romance. So for my romance girlies, if you really like romance and you want to get down in the deep, get down, okay, check out that mafia romance. But the cover is exquisite. It has my favorite color, which is purple, and my favorite shade of purple is like that royal deep purple, but also lavender, the soft, okay, exquisite kind. Now this novel, like I said, was recently released. You can find all these on Amazon. This one is 314 pages, so not too long, but a little longer than the first memoir. And let me read you the overview on this one, okay? So, to the criminal world, I'm known as Death's Shadow, a feared assassin and daughter of a notorious drug kingpin. From a young age, I've been on the path of revenge. ... Now, I'm saying ... There's more to the overview, but if you go on Amazon and read the whole overview, you may not want to read the second half because it may spill some beans, give you more information than if you're someone who really likes to go into a new read blind, don't read the whole overview. But that right there should get you interested. Not just the cover, but the actual overview. So I definitely would want to check that out and support her work as well. And I'll leave her TikTok handle. Now, none of this is sponsored. It's just for us people who like new reads, new authors, because we know what it's like and we want to get the support for indie authors. Go support them. Especially look on these new authors' websites, okay? Because they normally either, when you buy off their TikTok shop or their direct website, they can get the money directly, a little bit more directly. If you get on Amazon, they get a certain percentage. So check that out because it sounds good. Let me know if you already heard of these. And then Alexandra Lachelle. Now, I believe this book was featured on Lex Reads. I think that's where not Lex Reads. Kayla Bookish Vibes. Love her content, love her work. She features so many varying pieces of work as well. But I believe she was the one that mentioned her, and I found this author, found her on TikTok. Her debut novel released last November, so still recently, but it's a second chance romance. It's part of a series as well called the Doubleback series, and the title of this book is called Love by You. This cover is nice, it's calm, it's definitely giving fall vibes. So if you didn't read it, didn't run into it last year, go ahead and add it to your TBR at some point this year, because, and I believe she got, for her debut novel, it was best-selling at the time. She was like a bestseller on the bestsellers list, so that's awesome, right? This one's a little longer. It's 413 pages, so you may read it and say it was good, but why was it this long? Okay, we don't need it all, but we may sometimes read books that long and say, oh no, it was perfect, just what we needed. So check out Alexandria Lachelle. This book follows Vanessa Taylor, who has spent years rebuilding her life after a breakup. Her first love she's no longer with, so she's trying to move on and she's doing well, but then she ends up running to her ex Xavier somehow, and then her boundaries and all that stuff starts to unravel from there. So that's what that one's about. If you like second chance romance, then that will be a good one to try out. She also has a novella that recently came out called The Choices We Make. I heard that was good as well. And so I want to check out both of these at some point in the fall. I want to get and support all three of these authors' work, but the covers are just awesome. Let me know in the chat. I told you I was going to keep it short, under 10 minutes. Let's go. Okay, no, but I told you I was going to keep it short. Let me know in the chat if you heard of any of these authors, if you plan on checking out their works. And let me give you a quick update. My first September read, as you know, most of you voted for Sugar, so I've already started. I'm 50 pages in. Now I started reading Sunday, and Sunday I only got a few pages in, and then yesterday I only got a few pages in. It is taking a while to read, but it's really good because it's in third person narration. But it's kind of like, if you ever heard of like omniscient narration, it's like where even though it's written from the third person point of view, third person narration, you're getting insight and motive, the motivations behind each of the characters that's kind of introduced in some way, somehow. So I do love that. You're getting their thoughts, what makes them move the way they do or respond the way they respond. What I notice is that in the small towns, which we still witness today, not even just in small towns, a new person comes along, a new neighbor, a new teammate, a new schoolmate, whoever it is, and you see how people can be judgmental. They're so claiming self-righteousness when they're not, but then their judgment tends to lean more to jealousy. It comes off as jealousy, like, oh, this new woman in town and she walking like that, she wearing that makeup, she wearing that blonde wig, who she thinks she is, and it's like, oh, I think I am who I am, and my name is Sugar, how about it? You know, so you get those vibes. But this book is actually funny. I done laughed at some parts right off the gate is a little one part is a little heartbreaking about what happens to a young girl right at the beginning. But I love how Bernice so eloquently gives you so much information and description, but it's really telling that story, the ups and downs of emotions and feels. It's almost like I am in that community on the outside looking in. I'm one of the neighbors listening to all the gossip. That's how this reads to me. And so that's the beauty of third person point of view narration, if done right, giving you the stories, so getting you the vivid descriptions, and you see the images just as if you were there. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's coming to be, I don't know, a good high rating read for me, and it's short. This is literally something I could finish in one day, or you could finish in one day. It's about 225 pages. Is not long at all. But I just don't have the time necessarily to read it all in one setting. But if I did, I could. It is very good. So I appreciate everyone who recommended to read this one first. It is not disappointing. Let me know what you starting out your September TBR with. And until next time, always remember to keep rising.
I'm telling you that there ain't no other way. Pack your bags and leave.